Hello, my name is Julia Futo, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about 2 days in a new job as experienced by someone with disabilities. But before I get into the story, let me introduce myself to you first. I was born blue due to a tree nut in my umbilical cord. I was different from the day I was born. A renowned neurologist specializing in autism diagnosed me with encephalopathy, which is brain damage, as a toddler, which was then refined to developmental coordination disorder and a learning disability by the age of 8. An evaluation by the school psychologist in elementary school classified me as having autism spectrum disorder, but she never looked at the notes with my previous diagnoses. I was in regular classes at school. I was always a little behind, always a little left out, always a little lost, but I always tried my hardest. And that's not to say I didn't have any strengths. Some of my biggest strengths were I loved writing and journalism. I even went on to be my yearbook's copy editor. Responsible, I always did my homework even if it wasn't necessarily the right way. And I was given the opportunity to give speeches in high school about being a disabled student, where I learned I love the ability to share and speak about my experiences to help others. I graduated from high school and am currently in college working on requirements for the physical therapist assistant program for my school, currently 22 years old. Before the pandemic, I worked at a grocery store that accepts workers with disabilities. My job title is a front service clerk, which is like a fancy word for a bagger. I worked more than 2 years, but never got a raise. My performance reviews always noted how my disabilities or areas of weaknesses as where I needed improvement, but how could I really improve those areas? But I loved working, and I had to leave work to protect my mom, who's at high risk of COVID when the pandemic struck, and that's the only reason I stopped working. I enjoyed working hard, moving around, the physical activity, even getting the carts in the hot Florida sun, meeting new people, having somewhere to go, making my own money, and the feeling of independence and accomplishment. But then a new opportunity fell from the sky. Recently, a friend of a neighbor who knows me and my background, including my abilities and disabilities, got a new job and thought about me as an assistant for her workplace. I will refer to her as the older friend because I believe she's in her 60s. The older friend talked to me to see if I was interested, how many days a week I could work, what my expectations were for pay, and when I could start. The reason the older friend gave me about why she thought I would be a good fit were she was uncomfortable with computers and knew I had basic computer skills, including setting up Pandora Radio to play in the showroom, helping her to take pictures and emailing them, helping her with the computer because she didn't know what the difference between a left mouse click and a right mouse click were, and I did. She had a lot of physical work to do, was there alone, and knew I could plug along and help her to do the work responsibly. She liked my Zen attitude and felt I would be a calming presence. She knew that I liked art, and her job was in home decorating and design. I told the older friend I'd be interested, so she asked me to send my resume to corporate headquarters to a certain person, so I did. And here's the actual resume that I sent in. And the question was, to write disabled or not write disabled. I chose not to write disabled worker because on my resume I had three big clues. One of my jobs was a differentbrains.org intern, which includes the word neurodiverse, and the older friend that referred me to the job knew I wasn't a neurotypical. But never assume because it makes a you-know-what out of you and me. Since middle school, my generation has been taught that what we did on the internet would influence college choices, future jobs, and so on. I assumed the corporate person I sent my resume to would check my internet footprint. Was I a partier? Did I have a Satan tattoo on my forehead? Did I have posts of me doing inappropriate things that would prevent me from being considered for a job? No. But a search for my name on Google immediately provides links to articles, blogs, podcasts, and so on that clearly show I am neurodiverse. I thought the company could decide for itself if they wanted to hire me. My whole story is out there simply by typing my name into a Google search. Since the older friend is a friend of a neighbor, she is frequently at the neighbor's house. While I was communicating with the corporate representative after sending my resume, the older friend came to our house and had a driveway chat with my mom. She was excited about this opportunity for me and how I could help her. My mom reminded the older friend about my disabilities, that I was a neurodiverse advocate, and that I had done several interviews easily accessible on the internet. My mom was concerned that the corporate representative might ask the older friend about whether or not I would be a good fit for the job. Knowing the disability issue might be a red flag, my mom talked to the older friend about how hiring neurodiverse individuals is becoming more popular and that big corporations are finding that the neurodiverse population can be excellent workers. My mom told the older friend if the company representative expressed concern to her behind the scenes, that the older friend would have something important to say back. The older friend told my mom she didn't see me that way. This becomes important later. Also important, this job was part-time, 3 days a week, and temporary. It was only 8 weeks to cover someone who was on leave. Good news, I got the job. To protect the company's identity, I will refer to them as Dunder Mifflin after everyone's favorite fictional workplace. I was never interviewed for Dunder Mifflin, but corporate representative emailed me I got the job and told me when to start working. Since I don't drive, the older friend took me to work with her. I was very excited for the first day, and here I am, first morning of my new job. A trainer who was in her 50s had been sent from corporate headquarters to train the older friend. The trainer worked with me the first morning. She was very nice and made me feel comfortable. The first thing I did that morning with the trainer were complete the new hire paperwork. She told me when break times and lunchtime were. I toured the workplace, including the bathroom, break room, and the rest of the building. The break room had snacks that were available to the employees. They talked about how quiet the showroom was and that they wanted to play Pandora music, but didn't have speakers. I offered to play the music off my phone, but they said they wait for the speakers. And I was trained to do repricing, which was the big physical job the older friend needed help with. After all the introduction items, they told me it was time to take my first break. I went to the break room and decided to make some of the microwave popcorn they showed me. I stayed in the break room, cleaned up after myself, washed my hands, and came back out at the end of my break. But I heard some discussion in the background from the trainer and the older friend that the popcorn smell was not good in the showroom. I started working on the repricing, which resulted in two things. I was far away from the trainer and older friend, in a back part of the showroom. It was very, very quiet and lonely, which made it hard for me to concentrate. I had my phone, so I quietly played the Pandora music for myself that they wanted in the showroom while I worked. The repricing job, as shown to me, required I scrape off old price stickers entirely from the products, or, if prices were printed on the labels, to cover the price up with specifically a black Sharpie. But the black Sharpies they gave me were all too dry and had almost no ink. I brought the Sharpies to them and asked if they had others that worked. I had a red Sharpie with me that worked perfectly, but I was told to only use the black. For the labels that were printed, I had to work really hard with the dry Sharpies to cover the prices. That took time. It also took me time to remove the stickers. Many of the products had several stickers on top of each other, sometimes up to 6 of them at once, so I wasn't removing just one even sticker. That also took a lot of time. After removing the stickers or scratching out the printed prices with the dry Sharpie, I had to find the new price on a series of charts, use a price gun to make new price stickers, put the new price stickers on with care to be straight and on the same place in every label, and use reference sheets to find the locations of the next products to be repriced. The list above is important because in school, every year, I had an educational plan because of my disabilities. One goal that carried over every single year was to improve my ability to follow multi-step directions. The list above, for me, was the highest mountain of multi-step directions I'd ever followed successfully. Also, because my fine and gross motor weaknesses, these tasks were not super easy for me. I've been doing exercise to improve my executive functioning skills since May, and I could see the exercises were helping. I was very proud of my work and thought I made good progress. I also thought my work helped the older friend as she hoped. But looking back, on the first day of the new job, I immediately learned something about myself and my job at the grocery store. I liked moving around and getting carts. I liked being around people and having little friendly conversations with the customers as they bagged, and I liked having there be music because it kept me energized and focused. At the end of the first day, before I left, the trainer told me she thought I would have repriced more products during the time that I worked, but I thought I had done the work carefully without making mistakes, followed all their directions, and made good progress. After my first day of work, the older friend drove me home. We talked about nothing related to the job or of a concern of my performance. She was smiling and happy. I thought everything was good. When she dropped me off at my house, my mom was outside. The older friend said I had a great first day. The older friend said I was a good helper. And I told my mom about my first day. I told her the job was a little lonely. I showed her the pictures of the work that I did, which are on this presentation right here. And my mom was surprised at how evenly I put the new stickers on and complimented me that it looked like I did a lot. On the second day, there was a bit of confusion. The older friend picked me up for work. I was ready on time waiting for her. Once again, she chatted in the car ride about nothing related to work or my performance. I started back on my repricing. I was still in the back, far away from everybody. I played the Pandora music on my phone quietly while I worked. The trainer came up to where I was working. I decided I should ask her if it was okay if I had the music on quietly while I worked, so I asked. She said she preferred if I wore earbuds, so I put earbuds in and kept working. After a while, it was time for my lunch break. As I was walking to the break room, I saw the older friend gesturing to take out the earbuds. I took them out and noticed a customer in the showroom near me. I assumed I shouldn't be wearing earbuds in front of a customer. So I took my lunch break and came out of the break room without earbuds, and the customer was gone. I kept my earbuds out, and no new customers came back into the showroom for several hours. Part of my disability is it takes a lot of energy for me to do things other people might do easily. On day 2, I used a lot of energy concentrating on following all the steps to a price so as to not make mistakes. Also, this job was a new routine for me. Unfortunately, the combination of concentrating hard on doing a great job, the quiet environment, working alone, and a full stomach made me start to feel very drowsy, which I knew was not good. There were no customers in the showroom still, and I was alone in the back. I put my earbuds in and listened to something dramatic to increase my energy levels while I worked. I got myself back to a good working pace, and I felt proud to have found a way to re-energize while I was working. But shortly after, the older friend came to the area I was working in and told me not to have my phone out at all because she thought it was a distraction. So I put my phone away for the rest of the workday and kept working. As I worked, I heard bits and bobs of the older friend and the trainer talking in the other part of the showroom, and I started to feel like they were talking about me. It didn't feel right. I felt uncomfortable. I thought that maybe having my phone earbuds out was somehow wrong. But fun fact, I'm not like most people my age with my phone. I prefer to call people in text. Group chats are not my thing. I don't have Gen Z social media like Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok. I don't have games on my phone. I power my phone off every night and put my phone on mute when I cannot be disturbed. I was using my phone only to help improve my work performance. I started to feel like the trainer and older friends stereotyped me as being a typical young person always playing on my phone. I was worried on the second day that I wasn't giving off the best impression of who I am as a worker, and I thought about what I should do. I decided to talk to the trainer because she was in charge of everything. The trainer was also the supervisor of the older friend. I wasn't sure if she knew I had disabilities, so I decided it would be good to make sure she knew and to let her know that the phone was helping me concentrate better, not hindering my work performance. When I said I had disabilities, the trainer was shocked and told me disabilities wasn't going to work here. I worked quietly by myself for the last hour of the day and was very uncomfortable. At the end of the day, I spoke to the trainer and told her the next day I would do my best and without my phone, which was helping me to do everything. The trainer replied only to speak to the older friend, since she was the one that introduced me. The drive home was long. The older friend drove me home. As we drove, she apologized for telling me to put my phone away, and I told her what I talked to the trainer about, my disabilities and how the phone was helping me. But the older friend said she didn't know I had disabilities, even with that driveway chat with my mom. She said she and the trainer were watching me work and trying to figure out what was wrong with me. They thought I was awkward and didn't know what to do, that I was too shy to ask for help, and they thought I was distracted from work because of my phone. I repeated to her that I would work hard the next day and my phone would be put away. The older friend told me I'd worked my last day. The job was over. The older friend dropped me off at my house and drove away quickly. I went to my house and told my mom that the job was over. The older friend never talked to either me or my mom about my work experience. The older friend used to be out and about by my house, and I'd see her several times a week. I haven't seen her in more than a month, as if it had never happened. So I purposely chose this graphic for my presentation opening. It shows a game we might all remember to find what's wrong with the picture. I choose to live my life thinking all experiences teach me something. My focus on this experience is what can I learn from it. My processing speed was in the 8th percentile. I'm not quick on my feet. I need every tool I can find to help me in the future, during the moment. But to get there, I think it's important to go over a few things I'm guessing went wrong. The popcorn. They showed me the popcorn and microwave and said I could help myself on breaks, so I did. After, I heard discussion in the background, not directed to me, that the popcorn smell was bad in the showroom. What they said and their actions after did not match. Quantity identification. I thought I did a lot of repricing on the first day, especially since the first half of it was designated to me having to do all that paperwork. The trainer told me she expected I would have done more, but what number was she thinking? I don't know. Maybe in that same discussion, I should have asked her to tell me what quantity of products she expected I could do during the day. If I worked as fast as I could and did 75, and she thought I would have done 250, I would have known the first day I would not be able to meet their expectations. The phone and earbuds. At my grocery store job, we were told in training to keep our phones in our pockets. I knew I would get into trouble if I used my phone at work. Was I allowed to use my phone at this job to listen to music while I worked far away from everyone else and there were no customers? I had asked the trainer, and she said to use earbuds. The older friend told me to take the earbuds out. I thought it was okay, but maybe it wasn't. To have it be clear for me, I should have asked the older friend and the trainer together if the earbuds were okay or not. If I had asked that question, it might have also opened the door for them to understand what I was doing on my phone and why. Job duties. When the older friend was first talking about me possibly coming to work with her, she talked a lot about helping her with the computer. The older friend had talked a little about having to reprice products, but it made it seem like in the job we would work together, and repricing wasn't the only thing I'd be doing the entire time. I was also under the impression that all I need to do for pricing is use a sticker gun to create new prices for the products and paste the new prices on them. I had no idea I would have to do so many steps at once. What happened to the computer work I thought I'd been hired to do, though? If I knew my work performance would only be judged on my ability to reprice products at a lightning speed, I would have told the older friend I couldn't do that job and would have discussed my disabilities and how they might have made me slower at the start. Maybe if I talked to the trainer the first day after she said she didn't think I did a lot, I know the job was different than had been described to me and that I wouldn't have been a good fit. And the elephant in the room. Both the trainer and older friend saw my resume and the big clues on it that I'm not a neurotypical. Supposedly I'm the only one with difficulty making inferences. The older friend asked me to work with her and she knew I had disabilities. Teachers, guidance counselors, and school administration staff told me for at least 7 years that what I did on social media and the internet would be checked when I applied for my job. My internet footprint is all about my disabilities. I'm still not sure what's best to do in the future as far as getting new jobs, but I will make sure there won't be any real or pretend surprises. So what did I learn? I will never have my phone out again for any job for any reason to avoid making the wrong choice. Understanding what the job duties are clearly. I knew I could help the older friend with parts of the job she talked about, like the computer, the taking pictures, uploading, and assisting her with the physical work. But I also knew I would never do well in a time test to carefully follow multi-step directions that involved physical and spatial and visual integration dexterity as a primary duty of a job. I could get there with practice, but I would need to practice more than a lot of other people. I'm more extroverted than I thought I was. I really like parts of my grocery store job, including the moving around and talking with people. Even though you might think people are friendly, they will lie to your face. I learned that more communication is better than guessing or assuming, and I need to check for clarification if I feel uncomfortable. So my conclusions? I'm not going to take it personally. I tried my best. I am surprised at how neatly I could put the new stickers on, that I learned to work the sticker gun, and could read the charts about pricing and product location. I know my self-worth. If I'm fired from a job or face discrimination in it just because I've got disabilities, I shouldn't be there, and I don't want to be there. There are other things I can do well, and I will find them, as well as coworkers that know I have disabilities but accept me for who I am and like having me as an employee. Maybe neurotypical people have difficulties in inferencing too, and friends' weakness might not be limited to just the neurodiverse. So the picture to the left shows a white goblet or two faces in a black silhouette looking at each other, depending on how you see it. I chose this picture to end my presentation because it demonstrates that both ways to look aren't wrong. It just depends on which way you perceive it. Thank you for your time, and please let me know if you have any questions.